Hello and welcome to the Little Netsuke channel. Today we're going to do an immersion review of Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun. Obviously for any game the most important part is the gameplay, and here Me Games has done a good job. The first level has you helping to take Osaka Castle for the Shogun and is basically the tutorial for the game. It's actually a very effective one at that. It's a full designed level, so it avoids being just a dull tutorial and also avoids being sort of overwhelming. Information is doled out gradually across the level, and concepts are introduced as you need them to progress. As the name Shadow Tactics suggests, stealth is the heart of the game. So, does it hold up? Well, the stealth system basically just revolves around the guard's view cones. Right-clicking on any character other than the playable characters will reveal their view cone, and you simply need to avoid the solid green area to stay undetected. To succeed under this system, you need to plan how to eliminate or avoid the guards and their view cones. So planning is a big part of this game if you want to succeed.
Got it. Move like water.
Well, that's the theory at least, but I have to say I initially found it brutally difficult, but that was mostly because I was approaching it in the wrong way. Once I began seeing the game as essentially a series of puzzles to solve and not an action game, everything sort of slid into place a bit more. In my opinion, this is actually a strength of the game, as successfully executing an effective, stealthy strategy is immensely satisfying and really makes you feel like a master assassin. But there are still disappointing elements. The main thing that plagues stealth games more generally is also found here. If you're detected, it's possible to become hidden again. Basically, after a little look around, guards will return to their same position and routine as before. This sort of devalues the threat of detection at times, but for the most part, getting detected will lead to your character's swift death. However, it would be more meaningful if, when you're detected and manage to escape, the guards in the vicinity remain at a higher level of alert. This would have been more sort of immersive and rewarding, I think. Another thing that I have to admit is a minor gripe, but it did sort of take me out of the game a bit, was that any hiding place, no matter how small, has an infinite capacity. Though I can't criticise this too much, as it did give me a laugh when I discovered this feature. So that's the stealth system. How about the characters? Well, a mostly satisfying stealth system is supported by the character design. Admittedly, 3 of the characters have a somewhat similar approach, more stealthy, that sort of thing. They all have their own unique range of skills, and this really helps to keep the game interesting, as you need to factor in the character builds into your strategy when clearing the levels. Though having said that, there were levels where I was able to totally ignore one of the characters that I had available and just use 1 or 2 of the other characters that I felt were more suited to the job. While that does happen, as I say, for the most part they did do a good job of ensuring that the game and the levels are designed in a way that requires you to use all the characters provided in a level. And I have to say, it's really fun to use the different characters' abilities in a way that sort of complement each other, to execute a kind of collaborative plan to neutralize threats. And in that uniqueness of the characters, there is another real strength to this game, and that is the replayability. Each level can be cleared in multiple different ways. This is because of both level design, but also because of the variation between the characters. In one playthrough, you may rely on a particular character, while in the next, you can mostly use a different character. Replay is also encouraged through a sort of badge or challenge system, so when you complete a level, you can see the challenges in it. So it'll ask you to do certain things in certain ways in order to complete the challenge. So this really helps to make replay much more meaningful, as you're not just repeating the same process over and over again. While, as I said, the bread and butter of a game like this is its stealth and its gameplay, you also want to have at least a half-decent story to maintain interest. And I feel that Shadow Tactics, while not exactly earth-shattering, does boast an enjoyable story that sort of adds to the stealthy ninja action. The developers also really committed to differentiating the different playable characters by giving them their own sort of personalities and a bit of backstory. And this comes alongside a main story arc. Essentially, you're a band of the Shogun's assassins, and after helping take Osaka Castle, which historically uttered in the more stable Edo period, you are tasked with defeating a rebellion led by a shadowy figure called Kage-sama. Did you see what I did there? So that actually brings me to the language. Shadow Tactics is a fantastic immersion opportunity, and that is because it has a full Japanese UI, voice acting, and subtitles. I personally prefer to play with the Japanese voiceover and the Japanese subtitles, but the game also does allow you to mix Japanese and English. This is a fantastic choice, as the language is fairly challenging. I would say to play the game somewhat comfortably, you should be between a sort of JLPT N3 and N2 level, so you're saying sort of intermediate, up to upper intermediate really. Having said that, there are some unusual words that are likely to stump even the sort of more advanced Japanese speakers, obviously depending on the type of media and books and things you've read previously. As I said, because it has both full English and full Japanese support, if you have a slightly lower level with Japanese, I would recommend playing the Osaka tutorial mission and probably the next couple in English first before switching to the Japanese. This allows you to get comfortable with the game and the basic story, so you're able to focus on the language primarily rather than just how to play. This is also where the replayability is super important. You can play a level in English, then switch into the Japanese, but it doesn't feel boring or monotonous because you can try a new strategy. The language is still the same, cutscenes are still the same, the types of phrases the characters say as you play through are the same, but you can approach the level with a new strategy to keep it fresh. So, to round up, Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun is a really fun game in its own right, but due to its language options, it is an absolutely fantastic immersion opportunity. The replayability and the options to mix English and Japanese offer something for most skill levels, though I think lower intermediate and beyond are likely to get more out of it because it can be somewhat challenging language. On the whole, I have to say the game does get an E Renshu from me. Thanks for watching and good luck with your immersion. Mata ne.
滑るわ反逆者たち矢のようにあなたを狙う蛇みたいに巻いてるわ嫌なサプライズでしょ素敵なメロディーネズミの